Welcome to the podcast. The Aging Queen. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome back to another wonderful episode of The Aging Queen. My name is Louis Kennedy, and we have Rob from Madrid, Spain. Hey, Rob.
Hello, hello.
And another usual suspect, James from Columbus, Ohio.
Good morning.
Good morning-ish.
Good afternoon.
That's true. It's a good afternoon for you, but good morning for me. Yes.
How's everything going? Have you guys recovered post-election?
Absolutely not.
What a doozy.
Yeah.
How's it on the ground?
Well, it's very interesting because obviously I tend to associate it with like-minded individuals. So obviously, this week has been rough for a lot of people here well, not just in the United States, but obviously all over the world. Um, but yeah, like there I've I remember like when I was standing in line to vote on Tuesday morning, there was a woman behind me. She said, I'm taking tomorrow off. She said either I'm going to be celebrating or I'm just going to be crying all day. So I assumed that she was crying all day.
Poor thing. Yeah, I
Um,
have a friend who literally took 4 days off with her friends and they went to the beach and they were kind of it was everyone was holding their breath for a while.
yeah.
Um, so for on one hand, I'm glad it's over. On the other hand, what happened? Like,
Right.
yeah, like what
The
did anyone
math
work?
is not mathing, guys.
Did anyone vote for Kamala? Because these are really bad stats that I'm
Yeah.
seeing.
She spent $1 billion on her campaign and 15 million voters just sat home. I don't get it. There's
Yeah,
something
Yeah.
fishy going on with the numbers. I'm not alleging anything. All I know is that the math is not mathing, and I'm not gonna say
why
let's
did so
do
many
a
people stay home?
right.
A lot more people,
Record
less
numbers
people
of
voted.
people were
Yeah,
out.
yeah, than 4
Record
years ago.
numbers.
I mean, I've seen multiple sort of theories, which in my mind, I'm like, I'm not an expert, so don't feel like I should be the one to comment on those. But
Neither am I, but we're gonna. Mhm.
right, my friends was pointing out the fact that um, he was saying that I guess he did some research and he saw that 75% of people in the United States don't have college degrees. And one of the issues that he felt with the campaign was that the Harris campaign was sort of was taking a very logical and educated approach and really reaching out to the educated people to say, hey, um, this is why you should vote for me. But then, of course, there are other big issues that I think prevented people from voting. Obviously, the situation in the Middle East with Israel and Gaza, that's a huge issue. The fact that she's a woman turned a lot of people off for some odd reason, which is just weird to me.
Apparently,
The fact,
a large number of Black and Latino male voters came out um, voting for Trump, where they historically would not have. So
I
and
think
it's
Latino
strange.
more than black.
Hmm?
right,
I think black women
Black men,
especially voted 90% for Kamala, but and black
black
men are
men voted more
just
for
a little
Trump.
bit. No, I don't think that's right. But Latino definitely. Latino has increased. Allegedly, these numbers are out there, and it's not all final yet. So these are the exit polls that we have right now. Less than 1 week after the election. So
Well, Trump won 1/5 of Black men and nearly half of Latino men. And that's that's more than the usually vote for the Republicans.
an incremental tiny bit more, yeah. But I think we need to, if we're going to quote unquote blame anyone, it needs to be white people. But anyway, that's not here nor there. I think there's a lot of secrecy and people are working behind the scenes because you guys know DT. You know him. He is out there on his truth socials. He's out there on his Twitters. He's out there, causing a havoc on his social media, except for this week. What's going on there? Why is he so quiet? Why, except for the is it not commencement the defeat speech from Kamala and Walls and Trump claiming victory within the same night as election night, which was very odd. How did we know the results so quickly? That was strange.
Just because they're overwhelmingly favored in Trump. So I
But
mean, there's no way that she could come and win this anymore. You know, even if
I
Nevada
think
turns around and votes for her, you know, yeah,
I don't know. I
Pennsylvania was
think
the
everyone's a
fighting.
little bit quiet.
Everyone's quiet. I think everyone's in shock. But yeah, I think politically everyone's a little quiet. You know, this man's already part of the institution, whether you like it or not. He's already been president. It's not just him anymore. There comes a whole, grow up in DC. Um, when when a new political party takes over, tens of thousands of people come, and staffers and new appointees and their staff members, they all come and take over. During the Clintons, there were a lot of people from the South. During the Bush years, there was a lot of Texans that came into DC. So it changes the city quite a bit. And those people are part of the institution now. So you didn't just vote for DT, you voted for the party and all these people that are going to join him in DC, you know.
So
And
why do you think DT won and Kamala lost?
I think I personally think people are not ready for a woman president. And I also think the Democrats underestimated how much the country is in pain due to the inflation and the economy.
I think
Um,
so too.
and they really didn't uh, you know she's a product of the Biden administration, and he hammered that question of, are you better off now than 4 years ago? And a lot of people, you
Or
just
not.
said almost 75% of people, no, I think it's like 35% of people have a in the United States have a bachelor's degree. So you're talking about there's at least 65% of people who don't even have college degrees. And they're pissed because now their food is much more expensive. Everything has gone up. The insurance in many states, they can't even get insurance now. Everything has just skyrocketed. So people are pissed. And you just ask yourself the questions when you're in front of the ballot boxes like, do I really want to continue this way? And when you're only presented with two choices, you have to pick A or B. So a lot of people picked him by de facto, I believe.
But the
Uh,
interesting thing is that what people don't realize is that the president doesn't control those things. The president
Right.
doesn't control the cost of your gas or the cost of insurance or the cost of your power bill. They don't control that at all. But the way that it was presented to people, like
yeah.
with Donald Trump, he went out and said, I'm going to lower your gas bill. I'm going to lower your food prices. Well, how? How are you going to do that? Because that's not something that you can control. That's something that's controlled by those businesses, those industries, those companies, those CEOs, can say, oh, you know what? Rather than me taking a, $15 million raise, maybe we should lower some prices. But is that going to
It's just
happen?
greed now. There's no inflation really. It's
Right.
just greed.
Really?
Price
Right,
gouging.
exactly. Right. So But people believe that. People honestly believe that the president, I mean, but we've seen it for years.
Right.
The president controls these things. The president controls how much you pay for gas. Gas prices go up here in the United States and people are blaming the president. And it's like the
Mhm.
president has nothing to do with that.
Right.
No, but
Nothing at
they do
all.
set, I mean, the party does now, they're in control of the Senate, so they could easily pass more laws, um, limiting, capping, things and prices, and they can work with the Fed to lower, prime rates, so they can adjust. They have some power, and say in things. It's not just,
But
complete
most
capital
corporations will get
market.
around that somehow. You
Right.
know
Yeah,
this.
yeah. Well,
You know,
shrinkflation, that's how they've been getting around it now. They just, they charge you a little bit more, but they give you way less.
Oh
right,
yeah.
exactly. You know,
So,
so
I
yeah.
think it has come down to greed. And in the US, it's just it's been a lot of years where it's people versus corporations now. That's what it's come down to. People versus corporations. And they're not looking they don't look at them as citizens, they look at them as consumers, and dumb consumers as that at that. So the corporations aren't really caring about the people. They're just trying to take advantage, and they care about their stockholders. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's sad. Uh, it's a time that we need to reflect and look inward and decide, where do we want to go and how do we want to, as a people, continue living, because it's just getting it's unmanageable right now.
Yeah, and I understand people's frustration. I mean, those are the two main things in American life where if you see gas and groceries go up, those two things, you're going to be upset.
Yeah.
And people work really hard. I think the vast majority of working class people are feeling the pinch a lot.
Feeling a
And
squeeze. Yeah.
and instead of being angry at corporations, instead of um, doing the research and realizing, okay, we're still under Trump's tax codes. We're still, whenever any type of policy happens, it generally takes a couple of years for it to go through. So whenever it's bad now, it's often because of the previous administration, time and time again. A lot of people are uninformed and they think to themselves, okay, I make the same amount of money or even less, or I have two jobs now instead of back in before COVID, I only had one job. And they're looking at their
And people are
daily
having
finances
yeah,
and
are having to work
yeah,
multiple
go ahead.
jobs. It's now an economy where it's a double income household economy. There is no way, even if you make two, three, $400,000 a year, as a single person, you can live comfortably almost anywhere in the U.S. Before it was New York, L.A. Okay, that's where the rich people. Yeah, it's very expensive. I don't really like to go to the big city, But now
Right.
it's expensive everywhere, in Topeka, Kansas, Tampa, Florida, Savannah,
Everywhere.
Georgia, Austin, Texas. You can't go anywhere without paying $15 for a freaking BLT, or, 4.50 for a gallon of gas. And
Mm,
prices and wages haven't gone up that much. So
no.
I think it's people are hurting. There's over 800,000 Americans that have moved to Mexico City alone. Okay,
800,000.
800,000.
What's the source on that?
Yeah, I was gonna
Look
say,
it
in
up.
what time period? In what time?
Just
Like
now,
I
they're
mean,
there now. They've
there's
changed.
retirement communities all
No,
throughout
they're
Mexico that
gentrifying
people go
Mexico
to.
City. They've made the
I mean,
Roma barrio super expensive, and that's happening everywhere. That's happening in Europe.
you
That's
mean
happening.
800,000 people total from whenever until now have moved there? Are you saying like within the past week?
No, no, no. It says, notably enough, around 67% of all immigrants in Mexico originated from the United States, which accounts for about 800,000 people. This makes Mexico the number one country for U.S. expats, my
Well,
friends.
I'm gonna be there in less than 2 weeks, and according to a quick Google search, there's only 20,000 US citizens living in the capital. But when's that
Well,
due?
Well, it says there's also a lot of millionaires. It says among those who strive for a better life in Mexico are around 318,000 millionaires, which was shown in the Credit Suisse Global Wealth Report. It is estimated that by 2026, there will be more than 565,000 individuals with a net worth of more than $1 million. Now, guys, $1 million is nothing nowadays, not like we have it, but these boomers who sell their houses that they bought for a penny and a dream in 1967, most of these homes are worth over $1 million. So they moved to Mexico and now they're millionaires because they're retiring with that money. This is the source of wealthyexpat.com um, and the Credit Suisse Global Wealth Report.
Well, I mean, it's much cheaper to live in Mexico.
Yeah,
I've been there a few times, and was just amazed at how far my dollar would go. You know, like I remember I essentially paid for, I think, like an Uber ride that I took from a bus station to the airport, and then my friend rode with me, and then my friend went back to the bus station. So, you know, we were probably, I guess we probably used that Uber for 30 to 45 minutes, and I think that might have cost me $5 or $6.
I know,
So,
but it's probably gone up now because they said that prices are just shot up because of the gentrification. Here's an article on CNBC. The Americans are flocking to Mexico City where rent is cheaper and life is more laid back. For locals, it's complicated. This was October 12th, 2023, written by Celia Fernandez. Let's go recap real quick. Mexico's capital city is the largest city in North America with a population of 22 million. Its population grew by 3%, about 600,000 people between 2019 and 2023. During that time, from 2019 to 2022, the number of Americans who applied for or renewed residency visas surged by about 70%, jumping from 17,800 to 30,000. Um, so why are people moving there? Well, it's cheaper and they are still getting money from the US. It's not like they're going and working Mexican jobs. So, but we don't hear this in the news. We only hear about the Mexicans coming, over the border to the US. We don't hear about the Americans leaving, going to Mexico.
oh, I've heard about them. I mean,
I've heard about them.
a lot of
I don't
people.
see it on
Well,
mainstream TV though, on the
it's really
news.
interesting because obviously, like a lot of, think I've talked to several gay people where as they've moved to Puerto Vallarta. That's like the big gay
Yeah.
Hell
place to
yeah.
move.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Um,
drag queens that go there too.
right.
PV.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's sort of like in fact one of my friends actually did that. He moved there. Um,
Mhm.
it's really funny because like he does very well. So he and his current husband, I think they have a condo in Chicago and a condo in PV.
Oh, that's
So,
nice.
but I think now he's just gonna stay permanently in PV. But but I remember like watching a news show on this, especially during COVID, where they were talking about the number of people, leaving for Southern California and moving to Mexico because they couldn't afford to live in California.
Yeah.
And they could just move across the border and still come back, come through the border every day to go to work in like San Diego or something like that, and then go back
Yeah, but these
and
aren't
have.
people making $15 an hour. These people who can't afford to live in California are making over 100 grand still.
Well,
That's the thing.
but the problem with that is, of course, no matter where they go, the cost of living goes up because essentially
Yes.
they are taking they're taking housing away from the local residents. And of course, landlords realize we can
They
make
wanna
more
charge
money
more.
off of
Yep.
this because they have more,
Yep.
which makes it more challenging for the residents who already live there. So
That's happened in tons of
that
cities
happens
in Europe
everywhere.
already. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
It
happened everywhere.
Mhm.
As soon as you have a group of people who make more money and can afford more money moving into a city where things are cheap, everything gets more expensive.
That's supply and demand, that right there.
Right.
But if they, especially landlords, if they feel like you're disposable as a tenant and that they don't have to fix the things that need to be fixed, they don't have to make everything so nice and perfect for you. You turn into a slumlord because someone else is going to come. New York, I used to live in New York. It was like that. My building was built in 1889. And let me tell you, the front door was still from 1889. Just, nothing has changed. The only thing they did was maybe in the 1950s they painted the hallways. That was it. Um, so everyone else kind of took care of their own apartments, but you go in through the hallway and it looks like you're walking back in time, because they don't need to do anything.
So, James, were you traveling recently?
Recently, no, actually, I am traveling on Monday. I have to go to Florida for work.
Oh, fine.
Yeah, that'll
I'll
be.
be there in another week.
And you're
I
going to
won't be.
Mexico, right, Robbie?
Yeah. I'm gonna CDMX, and I'll tell you guys all about it.
Oh, your report.
Oh, good. Yeah, then you can find the Americans. I actually have a friend who lives there, but she is from Mexico, and so she moved from another part of Mexico to um, to Mexico City.
Yeah, I'm a little scared, but not because of like racist crime or reports from mainstream media or anything like that. I'm just scared because it's like, I'm gonna be like speaking Spanish, and they're gonna be like, ugh, gringo.
No, I think
Another
Mexican people are
gentrifier.
super friendly.
I hope. I'm gonna
Yeah.
be in the
Yeah.
center. I'm not gonna be in one of those gentrified neighborhoods. I'm gonna be right in the Zocalo. So, which is a
I
safe
think you're
area.
gonna have a lot of fun. You're gonna have a wonderful experience. Food's amazing, the people are amazing, and I wish I were going with you.
Yeah, just don't drink anything with ice and no lettuce, no vegetables. Just act like when it comes to food, it's going to be a little bit hard because, being vegan, it's sort of like,
Right.
okay, I want authentic Mexican street food, but I also
Right.
don't want to get sick. So, because my stomach isn't used to the local food. So it's sort of like, well, okay, we'll just play it safe and go to the expensive vegan places, but that also helps in gentrification. So I feel bad about that. But other people can be more adventurous, not me. Have
Let
fun.
me
I'm
let me
staying
tell
in a
you.
hostel. I'm not in a Airbnb, so we
Oh,
are
good.
not contributing to gentrification. No judgment here, but that's not my role. When I travel, I like to be as sustainable as possible. And whenever I have a guided tour, I tip well. So at the end of the day, it is what it is, and I'm going to see the world.
I mean, that's what
See,
they say. It's the best way to travel is with a backpack and to live as local as possible. This whole leaving a big footprint with five-star hotels and taxis and stuff. It's not
Oh no, I'm taking the
sustainable.
metro.
Yeah, I'll take the metro.
see,
So,
I've only when I traveled in Mexico, I didn't go to Mexico City. I went to a very small town called Saltillo.
mhm.
So it was definitely a different experience because of course I knew someone who lived there. So essentially I kind of lived like a local. I did get an Airbnb because well, the second time I got an Airbnb, the first time I stayed with my friend. But the second time, yeah, I had an Airbnb and actually on both occasions I got sick. But
Mm.
which is not
Any
fun.
advice?
Um excuse me. Well, the first time I got sick, it was actually alcohol related.
Oh
And
no.
because
That'll do it.
I tend I tend to be a person who like when I drink, I tend to stick with that one drink for the entire time that I am drinking.
Right.
But I you know, but in that particular instance, I was at a birthday party. Like first off, I like my friend introduced me to all of their friends, and they were all absolutely amazing. Like it was so cool to just be welcomed into this sort of like group of people just instantly. And they were just like, "Wow, you're just awesome." And I thought that's you guys are awesome. And so here I am on my last night in town. I'm at this person's birthday party. We're having a fantastic time. Someone breaks out, like we had been having drinks for a while at that point, and someone breaks out this bottle of tequila, which is in this really cool like wooden box, and it's a cool bottle, and I'm just like, this the presentation of this is just amazing. And
Yeah.
and my friend was like, "Here, try some." And he just, I just tried a little bit, but it did not mix well with everything that I had eaten and or drank that
Ooh.
day. So, needless to say, the night ended with me being very sick and then having to hop on a bus to go back to go to the airport the next day. It was just rough.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the second time I was there, we had ordered some food. Like, we rather than going out to the restaurant, we had eaten at the restaurant before, but we just basically ordered it to the house, and something just didn't sit well, and it was just rough. But I had planned ahead this time because last the first time I had to take a 2-hour bus ride to get to the city where I was gonna fly from. So I was sitting on the bus just feeling just like, ugh, like I'm dying. And I said, I don't want to deal with that again. So I said, what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to get a hotel, which is right next to the airport. It's actually connected to the airport. I'm going to get a hotel, stay there the night before so that I don't have to stress about taking a bus or if I get sick or whatever. Well,
Yeah.
I got sick and so got the bus, got to the hotel, and was just like, luckily just in a comfortable bed trying to rehydrate myself, trying to keep everything down. And the next morning I was just like, okay, I probably looked kind of crazy because of course I was still sweaty from being sick, and uh
It's
going
just the
into the
worst when
airport.
you're not at
It's
home
Yeah,
and you're
Yeah.
right.
sick.
It
You feel
really
so
is.
vulnerable. Yeah.
Yeah, like I remember when I got home, like I'm one of those people. As much as I would love to sleep for very long periods of time, I can't. I'll get, between 6 to 8 hours of sleep. But when I got home, I think I slept probably like between 12 and 14 hours.
Yeah, yeah. Your body's
Yeah,
like pooping.
yeah, it
Right.
just had to. But other than that, the trip itself, like everyone I met was just awesome. Super nice people. The food was amazing. Even though, like I said, I got sick the last time, but that was, like I said, I feel like there was something that happened in the delivery process because I had
Yeah.
eaten at that restaurant, like actually at the restaurant, and it was fine. Um, so I look forward to going to Mexico City because my friend who I went to visit in Saltillo now lives there. So at some point in
That's
time, I do
great.
plan on going to see her. Um, but yeah, I hope that you have an amazing time, Rob.
Thanks. I will
Yeah.
bring medicine just in case
Yes.
and not
Oh
drink
my goodness,
water.
yes.
Yeah, not
Just
drink
stick
Yes.
to the
water.
bottled water.
Oh, bottled
Yeah.
water, no ice.
Yeah. Bottled
Yeah.
water for sure.
Mhm.
That was something that I feel like even the people there drink, well, in Saltillo, they all had bottled water.
Mm.
So, um,
It's just, it's what people drink nowadays anywhere. So you probably won't find it difficult to adjust. I went to Paris a couple weeks ago for a weekend with one of my friends, and I kind of understand what you're gonna go through by being a vegan or a vegetarian in Mexico because my friend is she's allergic to cheese or she's intolerant to it. She just hates it basically. And Paris, let me tell you, they put
Cheese, cheese,
cheese in
cheese.
kebabs.
Yeah, fromage everywhere, yeah.
There's fromage at tous les jours
Yeah.
everywhere.
Robbie, are
Um,
you vegan or vegetarian?
Vegan.
Okay, that will definitely make things a little challenging.
I
yeah,
mean,
not even
obviously, when
eggs,
I'm
huh?
traveling,
Yeah,
I'll try my best, but if there just happen I'm gonna read the ingredients in food that I buy from the supermarket and fingers crossed I'll be fine, but I'm not like, if I order it and then they accidentally give me something else, I'm not gonna scream and cry, I'll
Right.
be courteous about it, but, I will always go for the vegan option first. I'm going on a day trip to not Cuauhtemoc. What's it called? Not Choching. I'm going on a day trip, and there's lunch involved, and I want to reach out to them, being like, "Hi, do you have any vegan options, or should I bring a packed lunch?" Boom, done, easy. I'm not gonna, you
right.
know, cause any problems or anything like that. So I'm vegan for myself, obviously the animals, but for myself as well. So I'm not out there to change the world. I'm not, loud
Right.
and annoying or anything. I'm not that type of person. I don't think that works with anyone. But that's another story for another episode.
Yeah, no, I think when you travel, there you don't have the comfort, the creature comforts of home.
Oh yeah.
It's always a compromise.
Yeah, but I'm gonna be in a hostel, so there's gonna be a kitchen area where I can
Right.
always cook something if I want to. I'm also very happy with grocery store food, but I'm not going to Mexico for that. I'm going to Mexico for tacos.
Yeah.
Um, I want, Mexican food from authentic Mexican places because every time I go to the States, it's Florida, and the Mexican food
Right.
there is kind of mid. And
Yeah.
in Madrid, Mexican food is
It's very
expensive and
meaty
not
too.
that great.
Yeah.
It's very meaty. So we have tons of vegan sushi places, just not in Gijón in the north of Spain. They used to have a wonderful vegan Mexican place. I ate there every single day, but long story short, I'm really looking forward to trying fancy vegan Mexican food made by Mexicans, and fingers crossed my tummy
We're
will be okay.
jelly. You'll be
I
fine,
will
and we're
be
jealous.
I'll be very curious to hear about your experience post since it's post election, being that obviously you are from the United States, to see how, I mean, not that people, I don't think people in Mexico are going to treat you poorly, but I will be very curious to see how your interactions with people go. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll probably have, because I know when I've traveled to various places, politics comes up.
Oh yeah.
They do, but you know what? The right wing has taken over a lot of, in a lot of countries. They're in
Yeah.
power in a lot of places.
Well, not in
Right.
Mexico. They just hired their first left
No, but
leaning
what I'm
woman.
saying is I think things are also quiet now because, um, like I was mentioning, DT is a part of the institution now. Even though he runs as this, like, maverick that's an outsider, I mean,
Drained the swamp.
he was president, like, you know, 4
But
years ago.
it's
You're
it's
part of the institution. You're not a maverick that's gonna change things.
so
Um
when you travel, what I've found is that most people are not like their government.
Exactly, yeah.
And so that's when that conversation comes up, because I remember being in Amsterdam and being in a shop, and I think at the time I believe DT was president, and the shopkeeper was just like, "Oh my gosh, how did that even happen?" And we were talking, and I was like, "I don't even know." And then he was talking to me, and he said, the crazy thing, he said, I was working earlier today, and I was saying this, he was saying that same sort of stuff, and he had two people from the United States, and they were like, "Well, we voted for him." And he said, "I didn't think those people traveled."
Yeah, well, they do now because
you
there's
know
a
and
lot more
I
of
just
them now.
I just kind of laughed, and but once again, like most times when people discuss politics from their personal view, it's really just kind of they're getting, your take on it, or they might be asking, "How did this happen?" Or not necessarily accusatory by saying, "How did you let this happen?" But like, "How did this happen?" Like, when I was in Iceland, my friend's parents was just kind of like, "Why do you only have these choices?" Like, at the time, I think it was Joe Biden and Donald Trump, and they were like, "Why just those two? Like, can't
Right.
you get some other people?" Like these are sort of the questions that have come up, but um, I'll be curious to see, Robbie, like what your experience is going to be in Mexico City, like, and it could very well be that no one says anything, but
I hope. I
um,
don't like talking to randos.
I don't
I'm
think
on
you're
a
gonna
solo
get much
trip for a
from the
reason. I
comment.
don't want to make friends. I don't want to, if it happens, it happens. I'll let it. But as I'm getting older and becoming an aging queen, I don't know. I'm just in my cocoon era. I'm no new friends and F some of the old ones too.
when I travel, I am the opposite. I am very much interested in making friends. I'm interested in learning the culture. I'm interested in learning,
Yeah.
how you live in I guess in your country that I'm not necessarily familiar with. So, I'm in it, and a lot of times they're also curious about me. So that's where
Hmm,
those conversations come from.
that's good.
Yeah.
I'm too scared.
So after you'll be fine. You're gonna love it. After
Yeah,
the
you'll be fine.
election,
It's okay.
looks like American interest in moving abroad skyrocketed after Trump's win. An article at CNBC travel section written by Monica Petrelli on November 7th states Americans disappointed with the outcome of the U.S. election took their anguish online, with searches related to moving abroad surging following the results of the presidential race. Google
Oh
Trends
yeah.
showed the searches related to leaving the country, how to move to spiked following the news that Donald Trump would be returning to the White House. Here's some of the top countries. Where do you guys think the top three countries are that they
Canada.
okay, that is
Portugal.
number one.
Yeah, I've got Canada. It's easy.
Where else?
Portugal.
Probably. Yeah, I heard Portugal too.
No, not top three.
Thailand.
Not top three.
Mexico.
Japan.
Not top three.
Mm,
Huh.
not
That's weird.
No.
I would have thought Portugal would have been up there because I've heard that's a pretty easy. Well, that's not
It is well,
easy,
they
but
just stopped their visa program, but
right.
Please don't tell me it's Spain.
it's not top three.
Okay,
It's not
thank
even top.
goodness.
Yeah,
Madrid's
top.
full. Try Asturias.
United Kingdom is number two.
Really?
Okay,
Oh,
because of the
Well, they
language,
speak
it's
English.
easier.
Yeah, they speak
Yeah.
English. Yeah.
But number three will surprise you. It surprised me. What do you guys think?
Australia.
Nope.
Thailand.
I already
Nope.
said no.
Oh.
Japan.
I said Japan.
No, did you?
Well, you know what? Honestly, Japan is a good place to move because one of the things that Japan is doing is they have a lot of abandoned houses that they're
Yeah.
trying to
Yep.
fill
They don't really have
for like
speculation with their homes.
right, but they're super cheap. Like I just saw I was just on YouTube yesterday
Yeah.
and I saw a video of this guy who bought a $15,000 house like an hour away from Tokyo. Um
That's in
and
Italy. They're giving them out for €1. You have to
right,
put in
right.
money to develop them.
That's true. And obviously like a lot of places you have to live there for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of situations, a lot of countries that are doing that because either people have especially if it's a rural economy, a lot of people have
Right.
left, the rural areas and have moved into the city. So they have all these abandoned houses, which they want to fill. So
I
yeah,
just
they
I
want
just think
people to
that's
come in.
messed up. I think the local government needs to do more in order to make people stay and just
Yeah.
not give up, not put their hands up in the air and say we tried everything and not try anything,
Right.
Right.
and try to make people stay there and go to university there, live there, have a whole life there, rather than attract people that went to university elsewhere to bring their transferable skills so they don't have
Right.
to do anything on the infrastructure,
Hmm.
nothing on the schools, nothing on basic things,
Yeah. It's
just
like
give up
slumlord
and then just be
mentality.
like, "Okay, foreigners, come on in." I think it's
Right.
really sus. I don't know.
It is.
I don't know.
It's
I
that
mean,
slumlord mentality. So
I
continuing,
don't.
number four is Australia.
Oh, I
Five
knew it
is
had to be there.
Italy.
Makes sense. Hmm.
Six is Ireland, which is super expensive.
Oh, yeah.
Seven,
Interesting.
New
Very.
Zealand.
My
That's
Eight.
cousin lives
expensive.
there.
Oh.
Yep.
Hmm.
Switzerland is number eight.
Really?
Number nine is España, Spain. And drum roll, please. Number 10 on this list of where Americans want to move to after the election results is
Mexico.
France.
Oh.
See, I would have thought
So
the Netherlands,
Mexico's
but
15
okay.
on the list.
Okay.
Mexico's
It's still
15.
up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Why Americans want to
I
move
mean,
abroad. To finish with this article, the main reason is surprisingly culture. Among those who indicated interest to move abroad, culture was cited as a top reason according to the report, followed by jobs and healthcare. Survey of more than 4,000 Americans. So, you know, I think the culture it means also the political climate. No, uh,
well, honestly,
It's turning right wing here too.
it's one of those situations like when I was telling somebody this the other day, like when you travel, it's really easy to see some of the flaws here in the United States. For instance, like a lot of countries are more socialist countries where, yes, you pay more in taxes, but that money is going to take care of the people.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas here in the United States, we don't do that. We are very much the opposite. We are
Yeah.
very much a capitalist society. Um,
You got to
when
take care of
people,
yourself,
you
basically.
take care of yourself, which is for someone like me, I like the idea of society taking care of the people.
Mm-hmm.
That so like the idea of moving to a country where that happens, that is appealing. Do I have any plans to leave the
It's so
United
much
States anytime soon? No, I don't. Even
There's
though
so
I'll
much
joke
less
around about
stress.
moving.
It's so
Right,
less. It's less stress. I think if you're young and gun ho and really want to start a business, and your goal is to make money or you're into finance, I think the U.S. is the perfect place for that, and it's a perfect place for small businesses and large
right,
businesses. But for the common man, oh, as a worker, you're better off being, unless you're unionized, you're better off being a worker in Europe or any other country, really, that's developed than in the U.S. I believe, because it really it benefits the company. That the economy is made for you to constantly pump that money back into investment, into growing. And don't get me wrong, in the last 50 years, the US has innovated and made some of the things that we use every day, Google, Apple, everything. It's changed our lives. Space exploration, science, medicine. But at the same time, at what cost, to the American people? Their
right,
sanity, their health. It's one of the worst diets. People die younger than any other developed country. There's poverty, there's hunger, there's not that much education when you think of only 35% of them get a BA in college, which surprised me. So it's still very much an elitist society. Yeah.
yeah.
You
I
just
mean,
you got to be
I
part of
agree.
that of the top. If not,
And that's one of the issues. It's kind of like if like I remember one of my friends went to Germany and had a very bad asthma attack and had to go to the hospital and paid nothing because
yeah,
German society covered that. They covered that, and I thought that would never happen here in the United States.
you get a nice
If
bill.
right, if one of my friends from outside the United States came to the United States and had a medical emergency, they would go home with a very large bill. Um,
If we provide universal health care for everyone, that would take so much stress off of a lot of people.
but
And
we're not going to do that
but
because we're
that's
a capitalist society.
just doing that would be so beneficial to the country as a whole, you know,
Oh
to the
no, I
population.
agree. Trust me, I agree. But it's one of those things that um, I don't see that happening, not in the coming future, especially if the Republicans
Oh yeah.
control the entire government. Right now, they have the executive and the Senate, but I think we're still waiting on the House to come in. If they win the House, then it's just whatever. It's gonna be Donald Trump can just it'll be just an open checkbook for him. He can do whatever he wants if they
And
get
what
the
happened to the Democrats? Why are they losing so badly? Even well, the Senate's been basically the Republicans have been in control for a while, but still, it's like the way Kamala Harris lost, she lost bad. I'm not gonna lie. If you look at it, she lost the popular vote.
It's
Um,
suspicious.
and there's over 5 million. Over now, it says some say 7 million here. Um, that the difference there's 7 million more people voted for Trump. I mean, that's just wow. That's a lot of people.
but
And
I don't think that he got more votes than he got last time.
no,
It's just that people
Hmm.
didn't vote. And one of the commentaries that I saw was the fact that essentially he's been running for president for the past like 8 or 9 years, they
oh
said,
yeah,
and
Yeah,
they
I
were
mean, he
like,
hasn't stopped.
And they were like,
Oh, in
Kamala's
three
been
months.
running for like 2 months,
Yeah.
you know.
Mhm.
So I, that's one of the comments that I heard, and I thought, well, that does kind of make sense. But at the same time, um, what I guess my biggest issue, one of the reasons why I was just like, I Wednesday, I was just like, I was just sad. I watched this video yesterday on Instagram that put it into really, they verbalized it really well, in that,
Mhm.
it said, um, the biggest issue that that particular person had, which I also had, was essentially all the values that, we grew up learning, that you help your neighbors, and that, you be a good person, and that you love one another, and you do all these good things to try to be the best that you can be. Essentially, we just got told, nah, whatever, you can be a horrible person, you can do really bad
As
things,
long
and
as
you
you
can
win. What
and you
matters
can
is winning
still
now.
win. Like, it doesn't matter if you're a good person, it doesn't matter what good deeds you do, you can be a horrible person and you can still win,
As long as you're rich, you're good to
you
go.
know and it's just kind of like, and that was just kind of like a slap in the face, because it's like, well, why, like, here you have this person who has admitted to doing horrible things. They're I mean and is constantly saying bad
Well,
things
has
about
been has been
people, and
has
just
been guilty of doing a lot of
right,
horrendous
and
things.
just in general not a nice person. Like, I don't know, it just I don't know, it just
I don't think he's a bad person. I think he just
I
has an
do.
agenda. I think he has an agenda, and I think he has a very specific way of thinking that in his mind thinks is right, and it clashes with a shit ton of a lot of people.
that's an
But
interesting
I don't think that
perspective.
if you were to hang out with him, I think he's such a charismatic guy that that small time that you were around him, you'd probably enjoy his company because that's
He
what
R-worded someone and was held criminally liable for it. Let's not say
I
he's a nice
understand,
person.
but he as a possible narcissist, that's what these people do, is they charm you, and that's why he's won so many people over, is what I'm
I
saying. If he were
can't
such a overtly horrible guy, which he's been proven and stuff, then why are so many people, we just don't get it then. Why are so many people voting for him then?
Men.
and that's the problem. Essentially, they're
Does he just
saying
put everyone
it's
under a
okay.
spell?
It's okay. And so here's the bad. So it's already started. I mean, he won on Wednesday, and just yesterday, I was watching the news, because when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is I turn on the news, just because I like to be a little informed. And so, there was a large group of African American students. I don't know if you saw this, and I think they were at Clemson. They were at some university, and they all received text messages
Oh, yeah.
saying something along the lines of, "You have been selected
Mm.
to be a slave on this, and please report to this
Mhm.
Oh,
plantation
no.
at the nearest plantation at this day and time." And it's kind of like,
That's creepy.
exactly, and
You're
it's kind of like,
joking.
it has
No.
started. No, this is real. Like,
That's
this
so
Mhm.
is like,
sad.
to the point where the FBI is looking into this.
No,
And
they
I'm just kind
should.
of like, okay, this is, he won on Wednesday, and these kids got this text on Thursday. you know it's
That's
just kind
sus. There's so many suspicious things going on.
right,
There was also something in the news about, his phone being hacked, or someone on his team's phone
right.
being hacked.
Hmm.
Like, let's wait. Like, this is just a couple of days after the election. Please publish this so that it's out there, because I think next week something is going to happen and it's going to change a lot of stuff.
Oh, no, did you read the article about a thwarted plan from Iran to,
Yeah.
I mean, that's just and it
And
that
and it
happened
only
in
came out
September.
now,
Why
and it
did
happened
Right,
yeah,
a while
right,
ago, and they're only telling us now. Everyone's
right,
yeah,
holding
why
their mouths.
yeah,
well,
why
I
didn't we
mean,
know about this?
I mean, and it's just kind of like basically, and then of course the guys who are saying that they own women's bodies now.
Hmm.
It's just kind of like no, like
My
no,
goodness.
I
you
don't trust
know.
Elon Musk. I don't trust the ghost of Brian Mulrooney. I don't trust all of these bad actors in there. It's just, I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but what I do know is that the Dems need to prep and they need to
They
think
need
long
to
term.
they need to pivot. Yeah,
Yeah,
Seriously.
but they need to lick their wounds and keep on fighting. But at the end of the day, all we got is each other.
I think a
Right.
lot of people also that the Green Party, there were a lot of third parties, smaller parties that voted for. It took a lot of votes from the Democrats, and they changed jackets to vote for
No,
Republicans.
no, voting third party did not affect the election at all. Even if all of those
The
votes went to
Kennedy clan,
Kamala, she would still have lost.
all those people that voted for Kennedy,
All of them.
they
All third party votes, if you give them to Kamala, she would have lost every
still would have
model has
lost.
proven
Yeah,
it.
just a
It's
lot less
just
people voted
strange.
this year. A lot
Yeah,
Yeah.
less people.
Yeah.
a lot less votes were not counted. I'm gonna put it out there. So I don't know, guys.
I don't know.
Somebody,
We don't know that for sure. It's alleged,
no,
right? So in
it's alleged.
2020, Mr. Biden won 81,284,000 votes nationwide compared to Trump's 74,224,000, excuse me. And those aren't even near what Kamala and Trump won this year. I think both of them are in the
70
70
million.
millions, right? It's
Yeah.
like
Right. Right.
70 versus 78 million or something of the sort. So you're talking about, yeah, there's about, gosh, 10, 12 million people at least that just didn't come out.
Yep.
Um,
But why? And also, there's some battleground states where Trump won as president, but the Democrat won as um, not premier, that's Canadian.
Governor.
The governor.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like, wait, so people only voted Trump and didn't vote down ballot? Like, I don't think Americans
But
do
once
that.
again, Kamala is a female and she's a person of color.
Yeah.
And, one of the things that I think a lot of people, first off, as much as love the United States, because obviously I am from the United States, there are a lot of things that I don't agree with, like the fact that the United States is a racist country. It
Amen.
is. I mean, I feel like I can say that because I am a gay black man in the United States.
What?
I see it.
you
I mean,
experience it.
I have. Most certainly I have. Um, and so it's kind of like after Obama, we had 8 great years of Obama. A lot of people who were not happy that a black man won the presidency really did you notice
They were triggered. Yeah,
yeah, like before Obama, I mean, yeah, people were racist, but they were kind of like DL
low key.
racist.
Yeah,
Like they kind of kept it to themselves. But after Obama, they came out of the bushes. They were
right.
everywhere. Like
Remember
they
that
were
the
very vocal.
Charlottesville stuff. I mean,
Right.
it was just crazy.
They were, and it's kind of like since then, those people, especially with Donald Trump, have just felt empowered
Right.
to just come out and just be extra racist and just, like I feel like there was just recently here the KKK was here doing something. They were out protest. I think they were on election day. I think they were threatening to march somewhere here
Mm.
in Columbus or nearby. Um, but it's kind of like before that, before Obama, they still kind of kept to the shadows, and now they're very
Well, they
much
were
out.
ostracized and no one cared
Right,
about them. They were part of a,
right.
yeah, they were completely left out of mainstream society. They were
But
pariahs, but now they've been given legitimacy
right,
because, this guy came, jumped on a platform and started talking to them directly, and he
right.
energized. he energized a group that was dwindling and now they got empowered again, which is very sad.
But
Now,
I think
go ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, now, obviously, the United States is not the only
No, there's
country that
many.
has racist feelings, but yeah, since we, of course, are talking about, the United States and the recent election, um,
What
it's just
worries me is about gay rights and how that's going to change, if it will change in the next 4 years. Because if they've,
Abortion rights,
yeah,
essentially, if you are not a straight cis white male,
financial
um,
bro.
you're
law.
kind of, well, I would say there's a good chance that you are probably worried,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
you know.
All right. Closing this off, I think there's one last thing that no one's talking about, and I think you
Mhm.
guys are gonna have to go on this journey with me and put your tinfoil hats on. So, but no one's talking about it, and I think we should.
Sh-
So
Go
Donald
ahead.
Trump was the 45th president. 4 plus 5 is what?
9.
9.
Mhm.
Donald Trump will be the 47th president. 4 plus 7 is what?
11.
11. 9/11,
Oh
guys.
my
Pay
God,
attention.
you are wearing a tinfoil
Pay
hat.
attention.
Okay, you need to get off YouTube for the rest of the day.
That
Go
was that
walk.
was great.
Look at you and your numerology. All right, with that said, thank you guys for joining us on another wonderful episode. I will leave the number to the crisis hotline if anyone's feeling overwhelmed, stressed out, or just needs to chat with anyone. Again, thank you for our usual suspects, Robbie from Madrid, Spain, and James from Columbus, Ohio. Thank you guys.
Thank you. Have a good
Thank
one.
you. You
Talk
too.
soon. Bye.
Bye.
If you or someone you know are in crisis and need help, please reach out to a caring professional at SAMHSA's National Helpline by calling 1 800 662 HELP. That's 1 800 662 4357. Or you can simply text 988 on your phone. More information can be found by going to findtreatment.gov. That's findtreatment.gov.